Hi everyone, today we're going to talk about subject and object complements, building off of the direct and indirect objects that we talked about last time. So the first thing that you need to know is that when we talk about subject complements, generally complements are going to be joined using a linking verb. A lot of times the word is or to be is going to be the linking verb, though that's not always the case. The main idea here is that the linking verbs are going to connect the subject of a sentence with some word or phrase that's describing the subject or identifying the subject. So let's look at the two types of subject complements. The first is a predicate nominative. It's predicate because it comes in the second part of the sentence where the verb is the predicate. Nominative means that it's going to be a noun or a pronoun in some cases. So we're looking for a complement, a descriptive word that describes or identifies in the predicate part of the sentence, the second half of the sentence, and it needs to be a noun. In the first example, it says, that judge is Gloria's uncle. Judge is our subject and verb. Gloria's uncle is describing who the judge is. It's identifying something about the subject. So when we diagram this sentence, we're going to have our tree just like normal with judge and is. The complement is going to go after a horizontal slanted line. Notice that this horizontal slant is on the main horizontal line and it slants from left to right, and then the word that is the complement goes after it. Now, because this is a noun, you may have adjectives like Gloria's underneath, and we're going to diagram those the same way that you normally diagram adjectives. In that same vein, you also need to diagram the that because it is modifying the judge. Take a moment to pause the video and try these two. In the first one, we have courtroom is as our subject and verb. So let's go ahead and get courtroom and is on our tree. And then after that, we have to figure out what is being renamed. The courtroom is what? The courtroom is a site, so that is our complement. So we're going to draw the diagonal and write site after it. The rest are adjectives, so we're going to draw them underneath. This goes under courtroom. A and famous both go under site. In the second one, Miss Wing was is our subject and verb, so we'll put those on our diagram first. And then when we're naming what Miss Wing was, she was a juror. So we're going to use the diagonal, and then juror goes on our continued horizontal line. And an alternate both describe the juror, so we're going to put those as adjectives underneath. Now, you might also have a subject complement that is a predicate adjective, meaning that it's still going to be in the predicate, the second part of the sentence after the verb, but it's going to be an adjective instead of a noun this time. So it's going to further describe the subject following the linking verb. It's also worthy of note that sometimes you're going to have adverbs that do modify these predicate adjectives in the complement. If we look at the first example, Judge Fox is very patient. Judge Fox is our subject, is our verb. Patient is describing what kind of person Judge Fox is. So because it's providing that further description, we're going to put it in the complement spot, so it comes after that diagonal. The very is an adverb here. It's describing how patient he is, so it comes on the line underneath. Notice that these two types of subject complements, the predicate nominative and predicate adjective, are diagrammed exactly the same way. Why don't you try these two or three? Be careful that you're looking for complements versus direct objects because that's an easy thing to mess up. Remember your slanted line versus your straight line for your direct object. All right, in the first one, you have the trial is remarkable. So that's our subject, verb. And remarkable is describing the trial, so that means it's a complement. Then everything else is going to come underneath. So the trial and current trial are on the subject side, and rather is telling us how remarkable it is. That's an adverb in the sentence, so we're going to put it underneath remarkable. In the second one, the young defendant appears frightened. Defendant appears is our subject. Frightened is how he's appearing, or she. So we're going to do defendant appears on our diagram. And then frightened is going to come on that same horizontal line. Because it's describing the defendant, that's a complement, so we're going to put a diagonal there. The and young both come under defendant. The last one you need to be very careful with. You have case involves. The burglary is the thing that the case involves. That means it's a direct object. It's the thing taking the action, the involvement. So when you diagrammed this one, you should have had case and involves, but then instead of a slanted line for a complement, this should be a vertical line with burglary after it, because that is our direct object, with the in the front, of course. If you have compound subject complements, you do exactly what you probably expect at this point. You're going to, when you get to the subject complement part, after that diagonal line, you're going to fork it into two, put your complement on the horizontal line, connect it with whatever the conjunction is, and put any adverbs or adjectives down underneath as normal. So in the first example, it says the next witness is the defendant's neighbor and her classmate. So we're naming the witness as the neighbor and classmate. We have some adjectives that describe neighbor and an adjective that describes classmate as well. In the second one, it says, she has always been very honest and loyal. So she has always been, there are verbs with an adverb there, always. Then we have the two things that she's being linked to, the quality of honest and loyal. So in the complement position, after that diagonal line, we fork, have honest and loyal. Notice in this one that very is describing both the honesty and the loyalty. So it's diagrammed before the fork happens because it's describing both honest and loyal. Try these three and then unpause the video when you're ready to check your work. In the first one, we have lawyers have been logical and persuasive. So lawyers is going to be our subject. Have been is our verb phrase. Both is describing the lawyers. And then when we get out to our complement here, we're going to have a diagonal line, and then it's going to split for logical and persuasive, because both of those are complements. We're going to use a dotted line with our conjunction and. In the second one, you have the defendant was happy and grateful. Extremely is describing both happy and grateful. So when we diagram this one, you have defendant was, but then when we get to the complement portion here, you're going to have to be careful again. We are going to fork to put happy and grateful with our dotted line for and. The extremely, because it's describing both, that's an adverb. It's going to come before the fork but after our diagonal there, to show that it is describing both the happy and the grateful. In the last one, Carl will be, that's our verb phrase. We have two nouns describing what he will be. So this is a predicate nominative, a lawyer or a doctor. So in our diagram, you are going to have to fork again, and this time we have that diagonal for a predicate nominative where we have lawyer on top and then doctor as well. Be careful with this one. You have a, so both of those adjectives need to come here, and you also have two conjunctions, either or. So either and or should be on that dotted line. Now, object complements are going to be in sentence patterns that have a subject, a verb, a direct object, and then a complement that describes that direct object. So when you look at a complement for an object, it's going to answer the question, what? It's going to identify and describe the object itself. Now, it's also helpful to try to remember that generally speaking, object complements are going to come after verbs that have this meaning make or consider, though those are certainly not the only two verbs that mean make or consider. In the first example, students elected Anne president. They consider her trustworthy. Students elected is our subject and our verb. Anne is the person who is being elected. So that's our direct object. She's taking the action. So we have a vertical line there with Anne on it. And then president is describing what Anne is being elected as. So because that is giving us extra information, what, we're going to put that in the complement position after the direct object. In the second one, they consider her is our subject verb direct object. Trustworthy describes what they consider her. So on our horizontal line, we have the short vertical for the direct object and then the diagonal before the trustworthy, the object complement. And as you might have guessed, when you need to diagram a compound object complement, you're going to again split your two prongs to the two sides. Notice that you have the two direct objects followed each by their own diagonal and the complement that is describing the original direct object. Be sure that you diagram any adjectives or adverbs for these underneath just like normal. Why don't you try these two and then unpause when you're ready. All right, as we go into these, we have Kim proved Sam wrong. So we have subject, verb, direct object, and then that's the complement describing what's happening to Sam. So you have Kim proved, direct object Sam, and then we're going to have the diagonal with the wrong. In the second one, Paul calls his dog, that's our direct object. Rushmore is what he's calling his dog. So you have Paul and called and our subject verb, calls. Dog is our direct object, so it comes after the short vertical line, and then a diagonal with Rushmore after it. Don't forget about that his. His is which dog, so that means it's going to go underneath dog on our diagram. That's it. So make sure you feel comfortable with these, and we'll do some more practice in class.